You're not lazy. That's not an excuse. It's a revelation. Because what if your inability to move, to focus, to just do it, isn't a moral failure, but a survival instinct? We live in a world that romanticizes productivity, hustle, grind, discipline, the gospel of getting things done. So when you don't, you assume something's wrong with you, that you're broken, weak, lazy. But what if your brain is doing exactly what it was wired to do when it perceives danger? You're not lazy. Your mind is in survival mode. And survival doesn't care about ambition. Imagine this. A deer hears a sound in the woods. Its muscles tense, heart races. It's either running for its life or frozen in place. That's the fight, flight, or freeze response. A biological reflex hardwired into mammals for millions of years. Now picture this. You sit at your desk. Your to-do list glares at you like a threat. Emails pile up like incoming missiles. Your body slumps. You scroll. You stare. You do nothing. It feels like failure. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's your brain reacting to perceived threat. Not lions, not tigers, but deadlines, bills, expectations, and 1,000 tiny pressures we've learned to ignore, but never truly escape. Stress becomes chronic. Your body stops reacting in peaks and valleys. It just stays on. Cortisol floods your system. Your amygdala, the fear center, fires endlessly. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that plans, organizes, decides, goes dim. You're not choosing to procrastinate. Your brain is choosing to survive. And survival doesn't look productive. But here's the trick. We don't recognize modern threats as threats because they're abstract, invisible, psychological. No growling beast, no sharp-toothed predator. Just a boss's email, a parent's disapproval, a social media feed whispering you're not enough. So the danger feels invisible, but the reaction is real. You freeze, you numb out, you doom scroll, binge, avoid, and then you call yourself lazy. You blame yourself for what your nervous system is trying to manage. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Let's go back. Back to childhood, because that's where survival mode often begins. If you grew up in chaos, abuse, neglect, poverty, unpredictability, your brain adapted. You learned hypervigilance. You read moods like weather patterns. You tiptoed around emotional landmines. You weren't building a future. You were surviving the present. And if the people who were supposed to protect you were also the ones who hurt you, then trust became dangerous. Rest became impossible. Safety became a myth. Even now, decades later, your nervous system doesn't forget. It's not wired for ambition. It's wired for survival. So when life asks you to be bold, create, risk, speak, start, your mind shuts down. Not because you don't want to succeed, but because your wiring equates effort with danger. Burnout becomes your baseline, not a crash, but a constant hum. This isn't just emotional, it's biological. Studies show that childhood trauma can rewire the brain. The hippocampus shrinks. The prefrontal cortex weakens. The amygdala becomes hyperactive. You're not imagining this. You're experiencing it. And still, the world tells you to try harder. Let's pause. Why does that feel familiar? Because for centuries, society has equated worth with output. The Industrial Revolution didn't just change factories. It changed humans. We became cogs, measured by how much we produce, not how much we feel, not how much we heal. Rest became laziness. Stillness became shame. We internalized the machine. We punish ourselves for not running like one. But humans aren't machines. We're ecosystems, and right now your ecosystem is on fire. You don't need motivation. You need safety. So what does safety look like? Sometimes it's not a grand gesture. It's a small ritual. Waking up and making your bed. lighting a candle, drinking water, noticing the light through the window. These aren't tasks, they're messages to your nervous system. You're safe, you're here, you can begin. Other times, safety looks like boundaries. Turning off the noise, saying no, closing the tab, the app, the loop. It looks like self-forgiveness, not the fluffy kind, the kind that says, I'm not broken, I'm adapting. You can't shame yourself into action, but you can love yourself into movement. History gives us examples. Look at Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor. He lost his family, his freedom, nearly his life. Yet in the horror of the camps, he discovered something, that even when everything is stripped away, humans can find meaning, but not in comfort, in choice. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. But that space shrinks when your mind is under siege. Survival mode compresses you. It steals the space. It fills it with fear. Your task isn't to be better. It's to reclaim the space. Start small. Start scared. Start still. But start. Let's not pretend it's easy. This world is loud. It rewards noise, punishes silence. But maybe that's why your stillness is revolutionary. Because when you step out of survival mode, even for a moment, you create space. And space is where life begins, where creativity breathes, where dreams sneak back in, where lazy becomes healing. You're not lazy. You're exhausted from surviving a life that never felt safe. But you're here. You're watching this. And that matters. It means the part of you that still hopes, still dreams, still wants, is alive. And maybe that part doesn't want to hustle. Maybe it wants to heal. So next time you catch yourself frozen, scrolling, stuck, self-loathing, pause. Ask, what threat am I reacting to? Not always obvious, but almost always real. And in that awareness is the beginning of freedom. You don't escape survival mode by force. You exit it by building safety. Moment by moment, day by day. Not by doing more, but by understanding why you stopped. And from that understanding, something new can grow. Not discipline, but devotion. Not grind, but grounding. Not hustle, but healing. If this made you feel seen, good, because you are. And if it made you uncomfortable, good. Growth often begins there. Now, breathe. Take the next 5 minutes, not to catch up, but to come back to yourself. And when you're ready, really ready, meet the world again. Not as a machine, but as a human. One who knows that stillness is not laziness. It's where life whispers, I'm still here. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me, when did you first learn to call survival laziness? And what might change if you stopped? Your story might help someone else stop surviving and start living.